Article 5 to be voted by Parliament would strike the right balance between the legitimate interests of the industry to continue to build on current business models, on the one hand, and the fundamental right of Internet users to decide about the use of their personal information on the other hand. Moreover, even so the formulation of this article must necessarily remain technology neutral, the relevant recital acknowledges that users may express their will to accept processing by way of using the appropriate settings of a browser or another application in line with current common practice. But this is, as I said, linked to electronic communications only. Surveys show that spam and the related types of misuse of personal data, such as phishing, spyware, etc., are important factors undermining the trust and confidence of consumers in the electronic environment. The revised e-privacy directive would make the fight against spam easier and more effective, thanks to enhanced enforcement and cooperation mechanisms, as well as the new possibility for Internet service providers to take direct legal action against spammers. We hope, therefore, that the new regulatory measures will contribute to reassuring citizens concerning safeguards for their privacy in that respect. Other recent initiatives touch on data protection as well. Just beginning of May, Commissioner Reding and Consumer Protection Commissioner Ms. Kuneva launched a new information initiative on digital rights. The new online tool EU Guide gives practical advice on the digital rights that consumers have under the EU law. Why that all? Well, privacy and data protection have a particular value for Europeans. We consider them as part of our fundamental rights and have therefore put in place laws and regulations to protect them. In addition, companies operating in Europe and elsewhere find that a high level of protection for their privacy and personal data is a necessary condition to establish a trust relationship with their customers, who increasingly often demand assurances regarding the respect of their right of privacy. The directory and database business faces conflicting interests, therefore, both to maximize use of personal data for business reasons and to maximize consumer trust by respecting the privacy of citizens and their customers. It is understandable that your wish for higher data integrity and the right of privacy of the citizens are sometimes therefore in conflict. And in some ways, this problem may become even more acute, because unlike Google and Yahoo, directories of consumer relationships might be in danger too. Therefore, ask yourself the following question. Does my company have any mechanism to inform customers whose data protection has been breached about that problem? This requirement, ladies and gentlemen, will become mandatory for network operators following the telecom reform. And during the debate on the telecom package, the European Parliament clearly expressed its will to apply mandatory breach notification in other sectors too, including providers of online services, and the Commission made a formal commitment to initiate the appropriate preparatory work without delay, including the consultation of stakeholders, to be able to present conclusions by 2011 at the latest. And I assume that the newly elected Parliament will ask even for an acceleration of this process. Therefore, I would strongly suggest that you add breach notification to your self-regulation codes as soon as possible. Consumers are already cautious about their use of data in some contexts. You have long lobbied for mobile phone numbers to be available to directory, as well as it is the case with fixed line, but consumers are reluctant. Why? Mobile numbers are tied to individuals much more than fixed line numbers. Mobile phones are always on, and we carry these phones around. Ask yourself, do I want to have my mobile number in a directory so that the telephone marketer can call me during the evening or at the weekend? Unlike the online environment, where websites offer consumers many incentives in exchange for data, there does not seem to be much of an incentive for consumers to see their mobile numbers published. Perhaps you need to find incentives. The more consumers sign up to directories, mechanisms that would enable people to opt out of telemarketing calls should be more heavily promoted, for example. Maybe you could get operators to give away free minutes or SMS packages in exchange for a directory listing. Such offers might encourage particularly young people to sign up. You might also want to share experiences with your colleagues from the Nordic countries, where most mobile subscribers choose already to be listened in directories. But no doubt, this issue will raise again when the future of the EU provisions on the universal service is debated again, and the Swedish presidency might already start with this debate. But no doubt, discussion will focus on the new market trends based on boosting use of online directories. And as previous speakers also implied, recognizing that things have changed and adapting speedily is a key criterion for performance. So perhaps you should recognize that the old model for obtaining data for directories cannot be extended beyond fixed line telephony because of privacy concerns. Another issue that may possibly be debated again, also I must stress that the responsible Director General Internal Market has no public plans, is the directive on the legal protection of databases from 1996. It has been in force in Member States since 2003 and broke new ground by creating an exclusive sui generis right for database producers to protect their investment of time, money and effort, irrespective of whether the database is innovative per se. By extending protection beyond creative media, it brought database publishing closer to mainstream media, where IPR protection is an underlying feature of the business. And this directive harmonized also the copyright law applicable to the structure and arrangements of database contents. In 2005, the directive underwent evaluation, and the EADP was involved in that process. Also, the economic impact of the sui generis right on database production remains unproven. The evaluation did show that the European publishers and database producers would prefer to retain the sui generis protection in addition to the copyright protection. For now, the directive and sui generis protection of databases were upheld, and it did not end up on the bonfire of directives sacrificed to the cause of better regulation in 2005.